This summer marks a milestone for a Cleveland icon, the Steamship William G. Mather. It's 100 years old. And now that school's out, it is the perfect time for families to step aboard and step back in time. In tonight's Leon-Bibb, Then and Now, Leon takes us on deck to celebrate a century of steam, steel, and shipping history.
Down at the docks, the old ship sits in tranquil waters of the Cleveland Harbor. But she has known the turbulent waters of the stormy Great Lakes when she lumbered into the city, heavy laden with material to help build Cleveland. But now Steamship William G. Mather no longer does the weighty lifting.
It retired from service in 1980, and it came to the Science Center about a decade after that.
In the North Coast Harbor, where the Cleveland shoreline meets Lake Erie, the Mather celebrates its 100th anniversary since it first went to work. Retired, yes, but still a working ship. Only working now as part of the Great Lakes Science Center, where guided tours are offered, telling the story of how for 55 years the Mather played a vital role to Cleveland. The city steel industry would not have existed without the Mather.
The #1 ship for bringing all of that raw material into Cleveland.
The ship was owned by Cleveland Cliffs, largest supplier of iron ore pellets called taconite, mined in Minnesota and needed in steel production. William G. Mather led Cleveland Cliffs for 50 years. In its day, at 618 feet, the ship was the largest ore carrier on the Great Lakes, able to muscle 28 million pounds of taconite to Cleveland steelmakers. Among the crew of 36 were men who fired the boilers making steam to propel the ship. Crew quarters were tight. The captain had larger quarters. But all worked shoulder to shoulder, facing whatever wind and water gave.
In the middle of the Lake Erie, no land in sight, dealing with the waves, dealing with storms.
And then twisting up the Cuyahoga River to unload the taconite for the Cleveland steel mills. The 100-year-old Mather has a storied history, a story which begs to be told.
We offer guided tours, and we have very knowledgeable staff, people that are just passionate about the history of that ship.
The ship was outfitted with special guest quarters so that company executives and their guests could sail on the Mather.
But mostly it was a working ship. Much of its lake-going life was before radar and sophisticated equipment. That was then. This is now, as the old steamship carries the nickname, the ship that built Cleveland, because it was vital to the city's manufacturing strength.
Throughout the ship, the Mather, there are memories of the past, but also, if you pay enough attention, lessons for the future.
It shows us how much change and how much progress can happen in a relatively short period of time. And for me, that gives me hope for how we can address the problems today with the innovations and new technologies that are coming out.
A museum now, no longer doing the heavy grunt work, but Steamship William G. Mather has a story to tell, a story tied to Cleveland, as far back as a century up to the present day, a story of then and now. For 3 News, I'm Leon-Bibb.
Steam and steel propelling the future of the Great Lakes runs through September 1st.